Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Eric Poole with FACS Institute for County Government. Um, Typically, we use this day and time for our more formal webinar program. However, as we move into the legislative session, there's committee meetings this week. In fact, we're shifting from that type of content to really a less formal, more casual conversation format with some legislative members and member counties of FAC. And today, our conversation is with Volusia County. Volusia is a recipient of FAC's Best Practices in County Government Recognition Program. They were recognized during FAC's legislative conference in December. And just by way of background, our board in 2018 created this program with really two objectives in mind. One is to recognize and celebrate county innovations. Innovations, whether it's a program or a policy or a project that really makes a difference, but perhaps people outside the county aren't aware of it. So that's the first thing. And then really to create peer-to-peer exchanges through best practices. And so you can take that innovation within Volusia County and showcase it through us and allow other counties to take a look at it and duplicate it. So that's really the reason for the program. And we're really elated that we've had such good response. And despite COVID-19, in 2020, we solicited and accepted applications for our second year of doing the program. We had about 14 or 15 applications in all, including one from Volusia County. And the title of the Volusia County submittal is Youth Services in a Pandemic, From Obstacles to Innovation. Probably standing alone, that title doesn't say exactly what they do, but it was a really well-developed initiative in response to COVID, when COVID was really shutting down not just the private sector businesses, but really a lot of the public services and the community. And so it was all centered around the services of the Volusia County Library System. So joining me today are Carol Paulson and Lucinda Coley from Volusia County. I first wanted to say, ladies, one, congratulations and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having
for
us.
having us.
So let me start by just talking about my recent observations of libraries. And we had our association, our staff had the opportunity to do kind of a 3-week tour of different programs and services and functions of Leon County here in Tallahassee. Really just to get acclimated to all the things that counties do. And one of the things they did is they took us to the main library in Tallahassee. And what was striking to me is that the library of my youth growing up is different than the library of today. And really it's, I know at their core, there's books, periodicals, research materials, special programs for youth, but really I was awakened to all the different programs and outreach that our library provides for the community. So truly they were able and have been able to adapt to the times and the changing environment and really serve as cultural hubs in our community and other communities and offer a broad range of services and programs. But so that was my perspective. It was really eye-opening. And so just as a starter question, Karen and Lucinda, can you just start and just tell us about the role of libraries in Volusia County, your patrons, and sort of the needs that they have? Just kind of give us a primer on that.
Sure. Well, Volusia County, in Volusia County Public Library, we have 14 branches, and we serve from very small rural areas up into larger urban areas. So those 14 branches offer, different services based on those communities and the size of those communities. But the one thing about all of our libraries is that they tend to serve as a sort of a community hub, where a community gathering place, whether folks are coming in to check out materials, maybe they're using the makerspace, or they're attending a craft program, they don't have internet access at home, so they're either using our public access computers, they're using the Wi-Fi, they're checking out hotspots. Kids are doing their homework. That was something we found when the library closed, is that those kids who were using the library um, for their homework after school, because they do not have internet access at home, we needed to make some adjustments to our controllers so that they had that access outside the building. But we have we serve a population of a little over 550,000. We have 265,000, library card holders, and 100,000 of those are very active, engaged users. So the library is just this hub, whether they're accessing us in the building or attending programs and or going in through our website. But our youth services programming has always sort of been a central piece to what we do in our Volusia libraries, because we're really trying to engage kids and families from early literacy, and really develop lifelong readers, and library users, and our libraries can be that real equalizer for all of our families. But when you're closed, it's hard to do that. And so programming is a big piece of that. We did a lot of early literacy. We did a lot of programs for kindergarten readiness. We do English language programs, Spanish language programs. So our children's programs in 2019, we did about 4,200 programs for children and up through teens. And we had over 100,000 folks attend those programs. So when the pandemic hit, and we weren't going to be able to, we knew we weren't going to be able to provide those face-to-face programs, our youth services staff, really stepped up and started thinking about how we could continue to provide services to those families. And we had the support of our county government, our leadership. They were asking us to think outside the box. How can you provide services, whether that's curbside pickup or programming? But our youth services staff really hit it out of the ballpark with their quick innovation and their teamwork to make it cohesive. And we've been fortunate that we've had library staff from all levels of our organization participate in content creation and series. For instance, we have a rhyme time series that comes on every Sunday, and I'll let Karen talk more about, I guess, the programs. But we just knew that we had to make some decisions about how we were going to continue to reach our families and our youth while we were closed and after we reopened, and because we knew we were not going to be able to continue face-to-face programming for some time.
So let's kind of go through some of those because the application speaks to that, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's either Lit Kit or Light Kit.
Yes, the lit kit to go.
So
Karen, do you want to talk about that?
Sure.
to be the first thing that you put in the application, and then it kind of flowed from there. So
Sure.
talk about that.
So it's lit kits to go, and they're basically customized kits depending on the child's interest and age levels. In the summer, we started with basically school age, elementary age, and now we have from birth through fifth grade, and it's something we've continued. And the kids can go online, or their parents can go to our website, and there's an application, and they talk about their interest and which kind of like materials they would like, chapter books or graphic novels. And then the librarians, the library staff pulls together these really cool kits. They absolutely love doing it. And there's activities and educational materials, and it's unique to each child. And they check them out. And if they want one, a different one the next week, they can come get that too.
So, and that included, I thought I read crafts based on their potential interest and what they fill out and that sort of thing.
Yes, customized crafts and other educational materials, bookmarks, different things like that. And
we've heard from a lot of parents. We collect comment cards, and a lot of parents, especially like the crafts, because they may not be crafty. So these are, take and make. So they take it home, obviously in their lit kit, and then they make the crafts. And we've received a lot of positive responses from parents, but also from the kids. They write the most amazing notes to the library staff. We also had a child that decided to develop his own book, and we're putting it in the library because the lit kit inspired him to write a book. So he's 6 years old, so it's exciting.
Well, there were some really touching things in here, and I was reading about the I guess they did an election, so I guess there was some civic sort of training in there. And I think it was the two young boys or two young children came in, and they had their, I guess their library cards, and it was
their voter registration card.
for
Yes.
people to vote. Here's our cards, and we're ready to vote, and that sort of thing. So, do you want to talk about that just a little bit, or?
We had received a Florida Humanities Grant for Life, Liberty, and Libraries. And when we applied, we met in person prior to closing down. So then when we received the award, we had to do go-to meetings to figure out what we wanted to do. And originally we had planned in-house programs, but then we decided that wasn't going to work except for possibly some passive programs. We developed a video that would be premiered every week based on voting, and we had fictional characters that did a debate. And each week we introduced something that had to do with voting, such as registering for a card, campaigning for your favorite fictional library character, actually voting, and then the big reveal of who won. And it's worked out beyond my greatest expectations. I was thrilled. We had to film the videos. We had 2 iPads, and someone on our staff is very good at editing. And it just all really came together. We did original artwork, and it really gave a chance for the kids to come in and participate in a safe environment.
Right. So, I mean, that's a nice segue to what I was going to talk about. So prior to COVID, I didn't have any of this stuff behind me. I didn't have these lights, this camera, that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of organizations are moving into that because it's necessary, and it's probably going to stay with us. So you talk a lot about I guess first it was story time, and then it just sort of evolved into this sort of video content, and including YouTube channels and that sort of stuff. So can you talk about how much, if any of that, you did prior to COVID, and then how you slowly emerged into that, and what you're going to keep? And can you talk about that?
Exactly. So we basically, as far as social media, had Facebook. And with Facebook, we would post basically flyers and photos of programs we had already had. So that was it, really. We had a YouTube channel, but we didn't do much with it. It was just a basic YouTube channel. And then we decided for story time, we would go live 3 times a week at 10:30, and we had four branches at the time, 5 maybe, participating. Now we have 8 different branches, and we still do 3 times a week. We have done 132 live story times since then. And there's different themes each week, and we promote it on our website so that if anybody wants other materials based on those themes, they can get that ahead of time. And let's see. So besides Facebook, we also show more videos on Facebook, shorter ones. We have really built up our adult YouTube channel. We have like 270 subscribers, 223 videos, and overall we have 400 videos. between our 3 channels. So we have an adult one, and then a teen one, and a kids one. And we have a brand new video every week, Sunday through Friday. And Sunday, as Lucinda was saying before, is rhyme time. And then Monday, bilingual. Tuesdays, education station. Wednesdays, kindergarten readiness. Thursdays, stream. Fridays, fun facts. And then on our teen station, we have Adulting 101, crafts, cooking, biblu banter. So lots of different interests for people. And we also added an Instagram account. We never had that. And at first we focused on teens, and then we looked at the demographics and we realized a lot of adults enjoyed it also. So we just kept it open, made it open to all ages, interests.
Let me just say that we do not have a marketing department in Volusia County Public Libraries. The county does, and they're very supportive and they help us tremendously. But all of this was really done by staff, a lot of staff that had never produced, you know, a how-to craft video before. And so it's been a lot of work on the part of staff and an interest in wanting to do it. We have library assistants who will provide content, and Karen is really our content supervisor, I guess, and she, you know, she reviews every video, every flyer, you know, that we put up. But we do not have anyone on our staff with a true marketing background. We have some folks that are very good and have, you know, classes and education in it, but that's not their job. So, you know, I think that for any library of, you know, smaller size that doesn't have, you know, those folks, a department or someone dedicated to it. Now, Karen dedicates a lot of time to it because it's really become a full-time, mostly a full-time job for her because of the pandemic and what we're doing. But I think it's doable with some very inexpensive, for the most part, software and training that's out there, you know, on lynda.com or, you know, other resources. So I you know, want to make sure that, you know, props go to our staff because they are amazing and they just have an interest in working on content development and providing it for the public. And they really understand what our community of users, what they're looking for, you know, on our site. So I just
So
wanted to throw that out there.
you mentioned that you know you got support from county staff on the marketing and stuff, and you also said that there was support from above. Can you talk about that? What type of support did you? Was it initiated from the top? Was it initiated from below, from at your level? What type of support did you get in the administration as you began to transition into these new programs?
Well, I think for one, I think that first, let me say that, you know, I think we were all scared. So, you know, we thought we close our doors, we protect ourselves. Maybe we all go home and work from home. I'm not sure how we do that because we're all, you know, frontline public service folks. But first of all, I mean, they kept us calm and said, let's, you know, think about this. What can we do? And they have just been supportive every step of the way, listening to our ideas and allowing us to be innovative and to be creative and giving us that space to do it, and providing, you know, the tools that we need to make that happen. So I would say certainly our county leadership, uh, they've been amazing throughout this whole pandemic, and their support. Without it, you know, it would have been a much more difficult job. My staff, I hear this all the time, that the staff, how they they they've just, you know, they still have a smile on their face. They're still working, doing everything they can to serve the public. So hopefully what that tells me is that we're providing them the tools that they need, the resources they need to continue doing their jobs in a safe, in a manner that they feel safe doing it. And we're keeping the public safe as well. So, all of that to me comes from the top down. And then we listen to our staff and what their needs are. For COVID in general, we have a safety and security team, a committee. They come from all different sizes of our libraries and come together. But they worked on best practices in a pandemic, protocols for handling materials, for cleaning surfaces. It's just something so that we were providing and handling situations such as quarantining materials. We were all doing it the same way. We were all for the same amount of time. And so I think there's just been a lot of communication up and down the chain that has been important for frontline staff to be able to feel comfortable continuing to serve the public. Certainly, once we reopened June 1st, they felt that they had the tools that they needed to do their jobs.
So was there, clearly none of this was probably in your budget when the year began. So did this require any new revenues or were you able to shift things in the budget? How did it impact how you normally operate?
Well, we have, as far as a lot of the safety protocols, certainly we had COVID funding that was used for some of our, for instance, we installed safety glass at all of our service desks, and that all came out of the COVID funding that came down. But as far as our programming and the extras, like we bought, iPads, we had to buy cameras and headsets and all of that. We've shifted money around in our budget. There was no new funds for that for us, but we had funding available to do that. And then some of the resources that we needed for the programming, some of that came from our budget. Some of it came from our very generous Friends of the Library groups. And we have, I think we have 12 of those right now. And so they're also helping us with the programming and buying some of the things that we need to make it all happen. So.
All right. Well, I said this was probably going to be a 15, 20-minute conversation.
Sorry.
There, but let me ask, and I think I know the answer, but I don't know how much your county has thought through this, is in a post-COVID environment, how much of what you're doing now, because it seems like you're very proud of it, it's very exciting, how much of this is what you're doing now going to transfer over into, what you typically did in the past?
Yeah, I don't see it going. I don't see the content going away. I don't think we will obviously have as much of the online virtual content. But I think that there's still a group of families and residents who can't come to the library for programs. And what this showed us is that there is a place for virtual content in our overall service to the public. Lit kits, I can tell you right now, they're here to stay. Very popular. We have, thousands of, we've had thousands of lit kits that have gone out, and some of them are every week, some of them are once a month, but it really helps the families to kind of have that curated items to check out. We've heard that a lot of kids, it's increased their reading. They enjoy getting the kits, so they're reading more. And like Karen said, we expanded it to the preschoolers. It was school age, and so now we have Lit Kit Juniors. So it's all ages of children. So Lit Kits are here. I'm here to say, and my staff, I don't know if they agree with me, but I think curbside pickup is here to stay as well, because we have a lot of our residents who it's just difficult to get from the parking lot into the library, and a lot of those folks are reserving their materials, you know, online, or they're calling the library to reserve specific materials to pick up. And so I think that curbside pickup is something that we will continue. I had a call just the other day from someone telling me how much they appreciate the curbside pickup. So I think that's here to stay. I don't know if there's anything
You see,
else.
and do you project that your patronage will actually increase over time because of that service? And uh, during kind of the peak months, I think you said you have 100,000 active users plus or minus of that have library cards. Did you see an increase in actual patronage?
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say we saw an increase in actual patronage. What we saw an increase obviously in our virtual services, like our downloadable ebooks and audiobooks. We saw an uptick in new users there for sure. And then we saw quite a, you know, we saw a percentage of our folks who were traditional library users, you know, come in and check out, you know, books. We saw some of those transition, and now I think that they're using the online resources, but they're also coming into the library. We are right now, of course, we still have shortened hours. We even though we're open to the public, we've cut our hours. We're only open until 6:30 in the evening, and normally we'd be open until 8. And we are not open on Sunday right now. So we haven't gone back to our full slate of hours. And I think that's a discussion that we'll have to, you know, have what, you know, post pandemic, what are our service hours going to look like? But we are at about 80% for circulation, where we were before the pandemic, and that has steadily increased. So folks, when they feel comfortable, maybe this is just a speculation, that as more of our seniors are vaccinated and feel more comfortable being out and about, that we'll see some of those folks come back. You know, we also we have not welcomed our volunteers back yet. So we don't have those folks, you know, coming in on a regular basis to volunteer. And our Friends of the Library groups, they all run either bookstores or book sales, and we have not reopened those yet either. So I think once all those factors, once we get, you know, past where, you know, where we can open it up a little bit more, then I think we're going to see probably numbers closer to where we were before. But I think that what we're really going to continue to see is the increased use of our digital resources by folks as well.
Makes sense. Before we wrap up, we did have one question in the chat, and I thought I saw it. It was, see if I can pull it up.
Picture of the lit kits. We do have a video on our kids channel with Carly introducing the lit kits. So if they want to check that out, Volusia Library /kids, there's in our education station playlist, there is a video introducing the lit kits, and I'm pretty sure that shows the content.
Yes,
Great.
it does.
Thank you, Karen. Lucinda, Karen, thanks for joining us. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Fascinating, great work, and great service to your community. So thank you again for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Thank
you for
It's
having
an honor.
us.